from the book of Robert Kiyosaki, Increase Our Financial IQ. Today's topic is budget deficit of an individual. And there are 15 lessons that I would like to share today. First lesson, we have two choices. And the two choices of the budgets, the budgeting, financial IQ number 3, which is budgeting our money. The two choices are budget deficit or budget surplus. And many people choose the budget deficit. Second lesson, if we want to be rich, we should choose budget surplus. And how do we do that? By creating more income. And it's never about reducing the expense. Third, Robert in the book gave an example of his friend. His name is Dan. Dan makes a lot of money, a lot of money. Now, if he does not make a lot of money, his money problem will eat him alive. Why? Because when Dan makes more money, he buys a bigger home. He buys a new car. He takes expensive vacation. Now, Dan is an expert in making more money and making his money problems worse. Why? Because he goes into budget deficit. Budget deficit means your expense is either equal to your income or your expense is greater than your income. Lesson number 4, the budget surplus is the second choice. After learning financial IQ number 1, which is make more money, financial IQ number 2 is protecting our money, financial IQ number 3 is learning to budget our money. Budgeting our money, especially budgeting surplus, is very essential. It is important. It is critical for achieving financial integrity. Lesson number 5. There are 4 budget tips, and today I'll be sharing the first budget tip, which is make our budget surplus an expense. Make the budget surplus an expense. Lesson 6. This is the best financial lesson that Robert learned from his rich dad, which is make the budget surplus an expense. Lesson number 7. We have to make the budget surplus an expense. Lesson number 8. In order to create a budget surplus, our financial statement looks like this. We have the income statement. This is the income statement, and we have the balance sheet. Now, the income statement would show our income and our expense. So the correct way of making a budget surplus, this is how the income statement would look like and the balance sheet would look like. If we want to make a budget surplus an expense, the saving, tithing, investment should be under this tab here. As you can see, the assets and the liabilities does not contain the saving, the tithing, the investment. It is in the income statement under the expense. Let's call this the budget number 1. And budget number 1 is where we want to go, what we want to be in the starting right now. Okay, starting right now, we got to think how we can make our budget surplus an expense. Don't wait for later. Don't wait for the future. Think of right now how you can make your budget surplus an expense. Lesson number 9. The reason so many government, businesses, and individuals fail to create the budget surplus because they think of a budget surplus is this. It's very different. Now we have the income statement and we have the balance sheet. Now, the income statement has the income and the expense. The balance sheet contains your assets and contains your liability. If you look, a lot of the government, the businesses, the individuals fail to create the surplus. Why? Because their think is this: the savings, the tithing, and the investment, they belong in the balance sheets under the assets. The saving, the tithing, the investments should belong in the income statement under the expense. So let's call this the budget 2. Lesson number 10, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert, in his book, gave an importance on paying ourselves first. We should pay ourselves first. There's 2 budgets, right? The budget number 1, which I drew earlier, the budget number 2, which I drew earlier too. Budget number 1 shows that we pay ourselves first, and that's where we need to be. That's where we need to think and to go to. Budget number 2 is where I am and where majority of us lies on. We pay ourselves last. Lesson number 11, we know that we should save, we know that we should tithe, and we know we should invest. But we do this, we make this into our last priority. And that's why a lot of us are broke. And that's why a lot of us are in budget deficit. Lesson number 12. The problem is, after paying our expenses, we do not have any money left to save, to tithe, and to invest. Why? Because we make it into our last priority. Lesson number 13. The reason is why we make this last, because our think is different. Our think is the think of the poor. We should consider saving, tithing, and investing. We consider saving, tithing, investing as our last priority, when we should consider it as our first priority. Now, this is how the middle class income financial statement is. So we have the income statement, we have the income, we have the expense, we have the balance sheets, we have the assets, and we have the liability. Now, the middle class financial income priority are the saving, the tithing, and the investing is the last. They are in the asset column when they should be on the expense column in the income statement. The middle class, the saving, tithing, and investing are in the balance sheet. 14th, most of the middle class financial priorities are priority number 1, get a secure, high-paying job. Priority number 2, make your mortgage and car payments. Priority number 3, pay your bills on time. Priority number 4, which is the last one, save, tithe, and invest. So if we look at this income statement and this balance sheet, the middle class financial priority, the income is the first priority. The second, which is pay our mortgage and car payments, is our second priority. Our third payment is to pay our bills on time. And the fourth priority, the last priority, is to save, to tithe, and to invest. That's our last priority. We should reverse that. The 5th lesson is paying ourselves first should be our first priority. So those are my lessons from today's topic, a budget deficit of an individual. Let me know in the comment section below what you've learned. Stay tuned for the other 3 budget tips that I'll be sharing with you in the next couple of days only in Alka and Ria show.
Great, that's wonderful, Ria. That is wow. I mean, I took a bunch of notes, and I'm sure guys, you took some notes because she shared nuggets right there. Ria, okay, so I do have questions. So when you say there were 2 kinds of budget, the 2 kind of, the choices that you have, right? Budget deficit, budget surplus. Why do people choose deficit? Why? Why choose